As the trails of RPGs lit up the deserted bazaar in the southern town of Afghanistan, the commanding officer thought that Lance Corporal Bernie had stepped on an explosive. The 3-day fight to reclaim this Taliban stronghold was fierce. The blood and the bullets were relentless. Casualties and life-altering injuries were the norm, and returning to base in one piece was a rarity. The squad had made significant advances in fighting the enemy back, but now they found themselves stuck under interminable and heavy fire. They had one wounded man, and their location was perilous. They were on a narrow crossroad with the insurgents hiding in an orchard ahead of them, buildings with possible snipers behind them, and a patch of recently turned earth in the middle. All of the soldiers knew that the patch of disturbed dirt was just as likely to be laced with IEDs as anything else. The commanding officer ordered his troops to advance to a cover of a mud wall and the irrigation ditch. The bullets seemed to gain speed, momentum, and the frequency as the last night of day faded. Jacobs, an embedded reporter, would write in her journal, and I quote, "That's when I realized that there was a casualty and saw the injured Marine about 10 yards from where I had stood. For the second time in my life, I watched a Marine lose his. He was hit with the RPG, which blew off one of his legs and badly mangled the other. I hadn't seen it happen, just heard the explosion. I hit the ground and lay as flat as I could and shot what I could of the scene." 2 Marines stood over their injured brother. Their protective stance gave cover to Bernie and left them exposed. Things were not looking good. The first tourniquet on the leg broke. They applied another. There wasn't much to work in terms of supplies or the leg. The screaming was unbearable. The constant sound of human anguish can never be unheard and can never be forgotten. Troops belly-crawled over the rocks and under bullets to drag Bernie to the MRAP, a mine-resistant armored vehicle that accompanied the patrol. "You're doing fine, Bernie. You're going to make it. You might have a limp," they joke, "but you're going to make it. We got you. Stay with us." Connor, a Marine in his 3rd combat tour, held Bernie's head in his hands. He had been here before and knew what the last breaths that a man takes felt like. The pain in Bernie's legs suddenly faded. His breath grew shallow and incomplete. He was cold, he was scared, but he was not alone. His brother would never leave him behind. No Marine ever would. Bernie's last breath would live in Connor's mind long after the bullets subsided, long after he'd returned home, long after he tried to reclaim his civilian life. He would never surrender. He would never forget. This is Psychedelics, a Scraps original podcast exploring the therapeutic use of psychedelics. An enthralling story of an improbable drug class as old as humankind itself, banished into exile, yet comes back soaring like a phoenix from the ashes to save mankind's affliction with mental health disorders.